Monarchies, once the reigning form of government, have seen their power crumble like sand slipping through fingers. Bathed in divine right and draped in royal regalia, monarchies were once the cornerstone of civilizations far and wide. From the pharaohs of ancient Egypt to the emperors of Rome, the concept of a single supreme ruler was deeply ingrained in the fabric of society. The monarch was the state, the vessel of the divine, the absolute authority, but as history unfurled, so too did the acceptance of this absolute power. Over time, the thrones started shaking, the crowns started wobbling, and the scepters started falling. The once unshakable monarchical rule began to see its first cracks, its first signs of decline. Join us as we embark on a journey tracing the decline of monarchies across the globe. We'll explore the shifts in power, the revolutions, the wars, and the ideas that led to the fall of thrones. At the heart of monarchy lay the concept of divine right, an unchallenged authority bestowed by the heavens. This notion, entrenched in the annals of history, posited that monarchs were chosen by divine entities. Their rule thus was unquestionable, their authority absolute. They were the earthly embodiment of celestial will, and to challenge them was to defy the heavens themselves. But as time ticked away, so too did the unquestioned acceptance of this divine entitlement. Whispers of discontent began to echo through the corridors of power. The seeds of doubt were sown as people started to question the absolute authority of their rulers. After all, were these monarchs not also human, prone to the same follies and failings as any other? This questioning marked the beginning of a seismic shift in the perception of power and authority. But even divine right could not protect the thrones from the winds of change. The first crack in the royal armor appeared in 1215 with the signing of the Magna Carta. This historic document was more than just a piece of parchment inked with the royal seal. It was the embodiment of a revolutionary idea. The king, too, was not above the law. The Magna Carta was the product of a tumultuous time in England, a time when barons were growing increasingly disgruntled with King John's rule. Their discontent led to the drafting of this charter, which for the first time limited the power of the king. It curtailed the monarch's ability to levy taxes and impose punishments without the consent of the barons. This was not just a victory for the nobility, but a beacon of hope for every subject under the crown. It signaled the beginning of a power shift from the throne to the people. The Magna Carta was a beacon of hope, signaling the beginning of a power shift from the throne to the people. The Enlightenment era brought about a wave of intellectual revolution, questioning the very basis of monarchical rule. This was a time of tremendous change, a period when thinkers like John Locke, Voltaire, and Jean-Jacques Rousseau dared to challenge the status quo. They began to question whether kings and queens, simply by virtue of their birth, had a divine right to rule over the lives of millions. These Enlightenment scholars proposed radical ideas. They argued for the value of individual liberty, the importance of reason and logic, and the notion that government should serve the people, not the other way around. Their writings sparked debates across Europe, causing many to question the validity of monarchies. The influence of these thinkers was profound. Their revolutionary ideas permeated society, gradually eroding the foundation of monarchical rule. As people began to question authority, the seeds of democracy were sown. The Enlightenment illuminated the path towards a new political landscape. The late 18th century witnessed the birth of republics, shaking the foundations of monarchies worldwide. The seeds of revolution sown by the Enlightenment were ready to sprout into full-fledged movements. Take, for instance, the 13 colonies in North America. The American Revolution, sparked by the unjust taxation imposed by the British Crown, resulted in a fierce fight for independence. The colonists' rallying cry of no taxation without representation echoed their demand for a voice in the governance. The revolution culminated in the Declaration of Independence in 1776, marking the birth of the first modern republic, the United States of America. But the ripples of republicanism didn't stop there. Across the Atlantic, in the heartland of monarchy France, a storm was brewing. The French Revolution was a dramatic manifestation of the people's discontent against the absolute monarchy, social inequality, and economic crisis. The revolution, marked by the storming of the Bastille, gave birth to the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen, a powerful embodiment of Enlightenment ideals. The revolution radically transformed the French society, replacing the centuries-old monarchy with a republic. The French Revolution's mantra of liberty, equality, fraternity was not just a slogan. It was a declaration of the people's rights and a call for a society of citizens, not subjects. This mantra echoed the sentiments of the Enlightenment and resonated far beyond the borders of France, inspiring other nations to question their monarchies. These revolutions, American and French, were transformative moments in history. They marked the decline of monarchies and the rise of republics. The people, once considered subjects, were now citizens with rights and a voice. The very concept of governance was being redefined. The echoes of liberty, equality, and fraternity resonated across the globe, marking the fall of many thrones. The era of republics had begun, and the world would never be the same. The 19th and 20th centuries delivered the final blow to many monarchies, altering the global political map. As we delve into this transformative period, we encounter the potent forces of nationalism and unification movements, which stirred the political pot and catalyzed the decline of many thrones. The 19th century was the age of nationalism, an idea that people who share cultural, ethnic, or linguistic similarities should have their own sovereign state. This ideology led to unification movements in Italy and Germany, which marked the end of several small monarchies and the rise of unified, powerful states. Alongside this, the expansion of colonial empires and the scramble for Africa weakened many traditional monarchies, further shifting the balance of power. As we transition into the 20th century, the world was gripped by two cataclysmic world wars. These global conflicts catalyzed the fall of thrones like dominoes. The Russian Revolution in 1917 saw the overthrow of the Tsar, and the subsequent formation of the Soviet Union marked the end of the Russian monarchy. Similarly, the aftermath of World War I led to the collapse of the German, Austro-Hungarian, and Ottoman empires, signaling the end of their monarchies. Even those who survived had to adapt or perish. The shift from absolute to constitutional monarchies became a survival strategy for many. Monarchs relinquished their absolute power and became figureheads, while the real authority rested with the elected representatives of the people. In the wake of the world wars, decolonization movements further reshaped the world. As colonies gained independence, many chose to abandon the monarchical system of their colonial masters, opting instead for republicanism. The winds of change swept away many crowns, leaving behind a world where the people held the reins of power. The 19th and 20th centuries not only witnessed the fall of thrones, but also the rise of the people, marking a significant shift in the global political landscape. In the modern era, most monarchies have been reduced to ceremonial roles, symbolizing a nation's heritage rather than ruling it. The grandeur of royal palaces and the pageantry of coronations are now seen as part of a country's cultural tapestry, rather than the epicenter of its power. Monarchs have become symbols of continuity, their roles often limited to ribbon-cutting ceremonies and state dinners. In countries like the United Kingdom, Japan, and Sweden, constitutional monarchies prevail. The monarch is the head of state, but the real power resides with the elected representatives of the people. This arrangement allows for a balance, preserving traditions while embracing democratic principles. Yet, even as their roles have changed, monarchies continue to captivate the public imagination, their history a rich tapestry of human endeavor, ambition, and resilience. From divine right to ceremonial roles, the journey of monarchies is a testament to the relentless march of human progress. As we conclude our journey through the decline of monarchies, we're reminded of the constant evolution of political power. From the divine right of kings to the Magna Carta's first cracks in the royal armor, the narrative of governance has been a dynamic one. We've seen the Enlightenment challenge monarchical rule, the birth of republics in the American and French revolutions, and the dramatic changes of the 19th and 20th centuries. We've explored the final blows to many thrones during the world wars and the rise of ceremonial monarchies in the modern era. This journey has shown us that the fall of thrones was more than just the end of an era. It marked the birth of new ideas about governance, rights, and the role of the people. The fall of thrones across the world was not just the end of an era. It was the birth of new ideas about governance, rights, and the role of the people. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe.